Hey, welcome back to Tough Talk with Doc. Today we have a super special guest. I know very little of this guy compared to what I feel about this guy. So welcome to the show, Forrest.
It's good to be here, man. It's good to be here.
Yeah, Forrest came from like 4 hours north, and I'll have Jake drop a little pin kind of where his farm is, because he traveled a long ways to come here and sit on the show and tell us a little bit about him. So Forrest was someone that I met at the Regen conference in Dresden at the community barn. Probably like March? Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah. And we were like one of the first few people in the parking lot, and we're sitting there rolling joints on the back of the car and taking dabs and smelling grams and all this rosin and hash. And he hands me a joint and he says, "Try this." Doesn't say anything else. And he said the name, and I was kind of overwhelmed, and I didn't really listen to the name all the way. And I go, "Wow, that's really good. It's like sweet and like fruity and like blah, blah, blah." And he's like, "Oh no, what was it? Like sour?" I can't even remember. It was like way off for me for the flavor profile.
I think it was White Tahoe cookies crossed sour Skittles.
Okay, so there's some Skittles, there's some. He says to me, "I don't know. I grew it with a bunch of plant ferments and fruit extracts." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm only Korean natural farmer. I do all this kind of fermentations." And he's like, "I just throw shit in a bucket and then bam, I grow weed with it." And I was like, "Wow, that sounds amazing." And just to like learn about different agricultural practices for me at this point was like something that I was just tuning into, just tapping into and getting really interested in. And I said to you, I go, "I want to learn about this, but I don't really have anybody that's I can follow and teach and learn from right now." And you're like, "Dude, what's your number?" And you,
Yep.
like 2 months, a month go by, maybe a couple weeks go by, and get this wicked inspiring text from you like, "Dude, you are awesome. Like I can't even, we should send it out," because it was such a, dude, you like hooked me up like inspirationally and like motivated me to get up and like go out earlier in the morning than I'm normally doing, and for a reason. And
yeah.
Hey bro.
Attention is everything.
Yeah. "Hey bro, the nettles are really coming in hard. They're good for this, and this." So
Yep.
I'm super happy to have you here, bro. And I really appreciate you doing that, because there's not a lot of people in the world like you, bro.
Well, I live every day like it's a gift. You know what I mean? That's why they call it the present. So, you know, we're here to lift each other up and to be of service. And I really take advantage of that every day that I can. And whenever I met you, you had good energy, man. I hugged you. You felt good. And I was like, all right, let's win.
Yeah.
Let's win. I believe that this guy wants to make a difference in his world. And I just want to share everything that I can, you know, like let's all win. So I would get up at, before dawn and get out there, and I'm thinking, you know who else needs to be out here doing this? And so I'd send you a text, and it just, take some pictures and like you said, just spread a little information and motivation, and, together we can all make a difference and be the change you want to see.
So dude, how is it walking into the garden that you inspired to create my own little, I just took you into my little.
I am so proud. I'm like beaming ear to ear, cheesing, grinning. Like,
you like helped me do that, bro. Like,
I'm very, very pleased, and all things through God, man. I'm very humble in that regard, or else my ego gets out of control. So
yeah.
Everything is the way it's supposed to be, your garden, your change that you've been able to manifest and actually create is it's awe-inspiring and beautiful. Like I went in there and I felt so good. I've been in a few grows where it's disheartening, or you go into a grow and it's a machine. What you have in there is like, it's life, and it's precious. Yeah, you have a beautiful balance in there, and I'm very proud to be a part of it. Thank you.
Yeah, bro. That's what you just said gave me goosebumps, and I don't know if Jake can pick that up on the camera, but like the moment you were just saying that brought me to this place, and I'm kind of like in this moment right now with like my mindset and my business. And like when I was younger, I found cannabis. It like literally saved me from I don't even know. It didn't even save me. It was just my outlet to not be so consumed with other things, right? And then the evolution of that, it like provided for me and my family for a long time.
Yeah.
And then now I'm stuck in this situation where the market's shit. right? Like everybody and their brother's growing weed. Like there's more buyers, there's more sellers than there is buyers. Like
it's deep.
Yeah, and like, you know, we're all dealing with these situations, and I'm literally finding that this plant is healing me again just by celebrating it. And like I said to my guys like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I said, we're done looking at these plants like they're freaking machines. Okay, we're done. We're going to look at these plants like they're our brothers and our sisters, and we're going to fucking love them, and we're going to take care of them.
That's a unique perspective, man.
Yeah. Well, I'm sitting there and I'm listening. They did a consciousness thing at the community barn that you and I were there, and it was awesome to see you there, dude. I was like, oh yes, Forrest is here. I fucking love seeing this dude.
Definitely.
So they're talking about, and I think we've already talked about this on the show, but we'll just recap it again, and maybe we can even find the article, Jake. But it was talking about how a guy, when he was consciously thinking about the health of his plants from 20,000 miles away, the
electromagnetic frequency, like the Carolean photography kind of stuff.
The plants had more magnetic energy or whatever that measurement is that they create. It, from 20, and when the guy stopped like manifesting it and stopped, whatever, it would drop down. So I'm thinking, holy shit, if that's what it is, that's what I lost. Because I got into this industry and I was like, I want to be big and I want to be crazy and I want to have all these grows and I want to have these stores. And I'm like, holy fuck, I lost my plant.
Yeah.
I was chasing false reality, bro. And when you just said that to me, that there's like life in there, that's the affirmation that I just needed from someone that I respect to say, hey, bro, it's not a machine right now. And that's what we're really trying to do with our company right now, is get it away from that machine.
I got jaded in the industry a while ago because like I was spoiled rotten to phenomenal cannabis in the late 90s down in South Florida. And I moved to a couple of different places and I realized that it was not the same elsewhere. And I was in this magical place where I had access to really, really high quality cannabis. And then I started to produce really high quality cannabis, and my market wasn't refined. No one gave a shit. No one cared that it was at the top tier of production. Like, they're like, yeah, I'm going to go drink a 6-pack of Old Milwaukee with it anyway. I can't taste it after the first beer anyway, you know? And I would, my heart would break because, I mean, I was in a red state, so no one knew I was growing, you know? And so it was always like, I couldn't ever show anybody that I cared enough about it. I couldn't be like taking constructive criticism or nothing like that, you know what I mean? And it was very isolating growing in that red state where no one appreciated. 2011.
Okay.
Is when I like just full time started doing it.
Cool.
And like I've been growing since I was like, I don't know, 13, but I never had a successful crop for like a decade. You know what I mean? Like I School of Hard Knocks, homeless people stealing it, you know, my grandma's dog eating it, whatever it was, you know. I was trying over and over and over and over and over again. Like a lot of these people don't know what it was like before, you know, legalization or anything like that, of like growing how outside, hard it is. Yeah, outside. I was in Florida.
Wow.
You know, they don't tell you that you can't grow a normal season in Florida. I learned after I moved out of there that you only grow in the winter. No one tells you that. You only grow in the winter because it's not 120.
Because of the temperature.
Yeah. You can still have flowering plants. It won't freeze. And they won't be 9 feet tall by the time they hit flower, finish at 15 feet tall and be helicopter bait with no resin on them.
Because of the heat.
Because of the heat. You know, you can actually grow a dense nug.
Because of the humidity. Heat.
You know, like I was growing in swamps, by train tracks, everywhere I could with no success. You know, like me and my friends would hike out in the middle of fucking nowhere. And Florida's flat. Like you can't scout anything. You just have to just keep plowing through saw palmettos and fire ant mounds and stuff until you're just like, this is far enough out in the woods, guys. No one's going to find it out here, you know? And then deer, or, you know, we tried like burying fish and all the raccoons dug up all of our stuff. You know what I mean? Like just stupid stuff. We didn't know. We didn't know. We were just trying over and over and over again to get it in, and it just didn't happen, you know?
Talk about love of a plant, right? You put that much work in year after year and learned and learned and learned and never gave up on it.
Well, yo, Mary Jane's never let me down.
Amen, brother.
I tried smoking pot when I was 13, and I fucking hated it. Like, I broke into my neighbor's shed and found a cigar box full of seeds and stems and a little brass pipe. I packed up the seeds and stems and I smoked them and got a killer headache. And I was like, wow, I can't believe people smoke pot. This is so stupid. Like, this is bad. And then a couple of friends of mine, shout out Chris Roach and Rocky. They were a bunch of weirdos, and shout out. And they smoked a blunt with me, and I got ridiculously high, like strobe light freeze frame high. And I was like, oh, wow, I am never going to buy this again. I'm going to have this in my life forever. This is now like oxygen for me. I will always have this. I will never pay for it again. It's now part of who I am. And hell or high water, probation, rehab, jail, whatever, it didn't stop me. You know what I mean?
It's going down.
It's going down. So,
just like this hash joint I just rolled, there's so much hash that I can't. It's melting faster than the weed can light. Let's see if you can get it. No, I might have to like re-roll the re-roll.
I'm down.
A double wrap on this one because. Okay. Holy no! It's there's no hole in this one. It's just like a slug, and it's just not enough ganja. We're gonna have to retire this one until after the show.
The ratio's off.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're not all perfect home runs.
Yeah.
So like when you're little, right, in Florida, you spent your whole time in Florida. So like what was it growing up with like mom and dad? Did they smoke or?
My real dad was a homeless needle junkie bum. My mom and my dad met in rehab, like my stepdad. And my mom was like a trash can for drugs, like anything you could, PCP, whatever, you know? But she loved weed. Loved weed. Like whenever she was pregnant with me and my brother, she stopped all the hard drugs and only smoked pot.
Wow.
She was like, Mom. You know, pot's okay, you know, because she went to some like La Leche League, like breast thing for people to learn how to breastfeed. And one of the ladies was like, oh yeah, all my kids, I smoke weed all the time. She's like, that's good enough for me. You know, them kids that got 5 fingers or 10 fingers, 10 toes, they're okay. I'll smoke pot, give up all the other drugs. So, one of my earliest memories is finding a big like glass, like Corningware bowl with like plastic wrap over top, and it's full of weed.
Wow.
And I remember like opening it up and just throwing it everywhere all over the living room. I'm probably like 4. You know, me and my brother are just destroying the living room with Rice Krispie treats and Cheerios everywhere, and my mom's weed everywhere, and she comes home and she's horrified.
Not the weed.
Yeah, and so like that was one of my earliest memories of cannabis. And then after that, my mom went to rehab, and then I was raised in the rooms of AA and NA. And so I got to see a lot of people tell their story when it came to every drug and alcohol thing, and I thought everybody, like, because I got to see like lawyers and judges and neurosurgeons and, you know, all of these like white collar people, blue collar people, all of them were like fucked up, and I thought that's the way the world was, because I saw all of these various professions, and I thought that all of them were on cocaine. You know what I mean? Like, there's a high percentage of them, but there are some good people out there that are not strung out on coke, you know. But my perception as a child, where I saw all of this like despair and chaos, and, you know, everybody was hooked on crank or whatever, crack, it was like my world was so different.
Yeah.
So different. And cannabis was demonized again during that whole time that my parents were in AA. And like I said, I tried it when I was 13. I was like, man, this is dumb. And then whenever I was older, I smoked again, and I loved it, and that was it. That was it. No one could tell me anything different.
Yep.
No one could tell me that it was gonna, you know, give me bitch tits or, you know, make me fucking retarded or lower my sperm count. I don't believe any of that shit.
I got 3
None
kids.
of it. Exactly.
There's plenty,
you know?
plenty of potheads with kids.
However, being from Florida, I got the pleasure of smoking
Thanks, Grampy.
probably hundreds of pounds of poison pot. All the different kinds of poison you could have on your pot, I got the pleasure of consuming it. And so now I feel like a canary in a coal mine. Whenever I go over to new places, I get to smoke other people's weed and see what they're cheating with, because I know what fungicide feels like. You know what I mean? I know what a fucking mildewiside feels like. Like, I've smoked it all. I've smoked Raid, you know? Like, weed in the ghetto is not good.
No.
So it's a good day to be able to have my own garden and make sure that I have clean medicine after the first hit of someone else's that I'm like, no, I'm good. I can light up my own joint and feel good.
I remember the moment when I started growing my own weed, and I was like, oh, finally. Like now I can always have weed. I always got like the weed that I want to smoke. I don't have to just buy whatever's available. And I don't have to spend like $100 a week to get like a little bag.
Yeah.
I mean, back in the day, it was like $100 for a quarter of decent weed.
Yeah. Well, Florida, like,
oh my God, what was the price of an ounce of weed in Florida? Good weed.
Well, it depends. Like, if you were getting, like A+, it'd be like $350, right?
Oh.
But if you found something that there was only 5 ounces of, and it was way better than anything else, you could pay like $450.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, it was crazy because all of the really good pot came out of people's closets. It wasn't coming out of a warehouse. It wasn't coming out of a fucking duffel bag from Canada.
Right.
Like I always tell people, like, great weed is grown all over the United States. It just doesn't leave the municipality it's grown in because it's that fucking good. You know what I mean?
I do. This joint is making a comeback over here. It's like,
Yo, I'm proud of that thing.
really a fighter.
Yo, it's going now. I'm putting mine out.
You just need a little break, baby. Sorry for yelling.
Grazie.
I remember like the first time I saw weed, I was like a basketball star, like baseball player. And my buddies were like, yeah, we're going to smoke this. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if I should do this. But my mom and dad were like, my dad didn't give a shit. I think my dad was like, definitely smoke weed. But my mom was like, don't even drink wine coolers. Kind of like, don't even look at like naked boobies kind of woman. You know?
Yeah.
So I didn't grow up in a weed situation. But when I first started smoking weed, I was like, holy shit, this is a game changer. And I remember understanding the medicinal side of cannabis from a lady that I met that had like Parkinson's, and she would shake. And then, I think I told this story on another show, but once she smoked, she stopped shaking.
Yep.
So hold on. My next guest is here. I have to let him in. Everybody welcome Tucker to the show.
Good to see you, Tucker.
Oh, okay. You missed me. Okay, yeah. Forrest doesn't care. He's not here just to watch us hang out. All right, go lay down. He's usually under here for every show.
Perfect.
So, yeah. Your first experience was throwing nuggets in the air.
Yeah, like a jackass.
That's so fun. Now, you're looking back at that. What is the mindset? Like, would you want your children to be in that situation, throwing nuggets, or would you want them to be in a situation like I kind of grew up with, like,
All right.
that you've lived on that spectrum?
My daughter's grown up in a wild scenario. Like, I'm a widower, and I take care of my daughter with the help of my parents, and it's a blessing to be able to be part of her life. However, I've been doing things pretty much since she was born, since before she was born, and for a long time everything was like secret, and then one day I had to have a conversation with her of like, yo, like, we all protect each other. Like, I'm gonna let you know something that you have to protect me, and she was very responsible about it, and I'm very grateful for that. But at the same time, like you, whenever you had seen that woman with the Parkinson's or whatever shaking, like, I didn't have like a lot of people that I quote unquote helped out when I was out in the Midwest. Just a few select families, and this one guy would drive from Georgia every couple of months. Drive from Georgia. He was an older guy, and he walked with a cane. And my daughter saw him the second time he came over. He came over, he smoked a little pot in the living room, and then he walked out the house down 2 flights of stairs, and my daughter was like, you forgot your cane. You forgot your cane.
Wow.
And she came inside and she was like just dumbfounded. And I was like, this is what we do. I was like, we help people with this, and she knew at that point that it was medicine, and then we also around the same time we started growing because my dad had cancer, and so in order to, like, he still wanted to do the pharmacological route and stuff like that, and I was like, yo, let me at least help you supplement, and so I started juicing cannabis for him.
The buds or the leaves?
Veg mostly. Some premature, like whenever I would go through it like week 2 and pull like popcorn off my lowers and stuff, they would juice too. And we would start, he would take like about an ounce and a half of just straight green juice. And I got in a really nice juicer. It looked like a freaking transmission. It was awesome. And I could juice stems.
Wow.
You know? And it was terrible tasting. Terrible. And he hated taking it. And I remember I tried juicing for like 2 days, and I got really nutritionally high from juicing. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, it was soil grown. So, I mean, I guess because it's a bioaccumulator, mineral, accumulator, that it really just kind of was like a liquid vitamin for me, like a colloidal mineral. And I hadn't experienced vitality like that ever.
In 3 days?
Through my food. You know what I mean?
How much were you consuming?
An ounce and a half
of wet material?
Oh no,
it was an ounce and a half of juice.
An ounce and a half of juice,
and that was like your big fan leaves, stems.
Fan leaves and stems.
Cool.
That's pretty much it. And it was like wheatgrass juice. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Real dark green, and it was bitter. It was gross, and I didn't continue the process, but I knew what it can do. You know what I mean? So it's always there in my back pocket as a toolkit. And over the years, I've learned to work with a whole lot of other plants. And now I work with any plant that I can that grows near me, because food is medicine, you know?
Facts.
So
we've shared this conversation before, and we talked about the little plant paths and knowledge and things like that. And one of the teachings that is important to remember is that our local climate, like what's around us directly, is a lot of what we need to heal, whether it's with allergies or whether it's ailments and things like that. Like just taking local bee honey, because that pollen is produced within a certain amount of radius of your property. You have a lot of the pollen that's blooming at that current time, or the antibody for it. Or I'm sure there's bee people out there that are heckling me right now, but in the nutshell, raw honey is like a gathering of all those kind of pollens and all that stuff, and that can help with allergies and just little simple things that we take for granted.
Well, think about what the pollen is. You know what I mean? It's basically a sperm cell, right? Which has all of the information needed to create life. So it has all of the trace elements that you require to create life. So you're basically taking nature's multivitamin. You know what I'm saying? It's a full mineral spectrum.
Love it. Wow.
And it's also probably testosteronic versus most everything else in nature is estrogenic.
Why would you say that?
Because it's the male side of the equation.
Gotcha.
It's the pollen.
Gotcha.
Whereas everything else, we're taught to eat nuts and seeds. Yeah. You know what I mean? And nuts and seeds are estrogenic. There's very few things in nature that are testosteronic.
What are other things that you know?
Pine pollen is one of nature's greatest testosterone boosters. It also helps protect you from radiation and stuff like that.
How do you consume, like how would do you know anything about collecting and consuming that kind of stuff?
Yeah, you just get like, whenever you go outside and your car is covered in the pine pollen, go outside and get a branch, put a paper bag on it around the branch and just hit the bag and it'll fill with pollen. Go up to the next one. Do it again, do it again, do it again. You'll get a lot of pollen real quick.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say, like, take some bumps off the car or something, like,
You can get wild with lick bumpers if you want. You know what I'm saying?
I'm cutting back, but, it's good to keep in the bank. It's good to keep in the bank,
Cattail pollen is delicious. I tried that like 2 years ago for the first time.
What does it taste like?
Like salty pancake mix.
Oh, shit.
It's delicious.
Where does the pollen come from? Because is it...
like the corn dog part, the brown part, and it's got the little stick that comes out the top? Yep. In the spring, that's a yellow spike that's covered in pollen.
Wow. And like, what, you just same with the bag kind of trick?
Yeah, you just snap those yellow stalks off and put them in a bag, and then they'll just drop all their pollen in the bag.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you can make pancakes with it and stuff. It's pretty good.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Jake,
Yo, life is good.
Life is
Maine
great.
is full of bounty. Like when I moved up here, I was a little intimidated because I didn't know all the plants and stuff coming from the Midwest. But when I moved up here, I feel completely comfortable now. There's food everywhere, medicine everywhere.
I couldn't believe it. This year tapping into the little things around me, like, and learning Korean natural farming. I'm like, where am I going to find these plants over the winter? I'm like, where the hell are these going to come from? And then in the spring, boom, here's one. You know, like mullein and like all these cool, like.
I'm still missing mullein around my place.
I got tons of seed right now. I got a bunch of, they're blooming and seeding, so you can cut a stalk off and take it home with you.
Good.
And then comfrey. Comfrey's popping up everywhere. I remember when I first got my farm and I was putting in apple trees and I heard somebody say, put comfrey around your trees.
Yep.
You know, and what, for people that don't know, comfrey like mines minerals and resources deep down in the ground, and it comes up and it grows super fast into these like really rugged bunny ear shaped giant leaves, and they're like super nutritional. You can use them for tinctures. You can use them for compost. They're considered a chop and drop because you know they grow back so fast, and then they make these really cool little blue flowers. And the bees
you can eat it.
Yeah,
and you can live off of it. Like they say that it's dangerous and it'll fuck you up, but black is white, up is down. Like the only reason it was dangerous is because people were eating like 50 pounds. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
excess.
But it's a very wonderful staple. If you're, you know, like you said, it's a mineral accumulator.
Yeah. You
know, whereas like corn is going to steal nutrients from you, but if you eat, you know, the greens off of comfrey, it's going to heal you.
Now, are you someone that believes that they tell you these kind of things to stay away from these plants, that they're poisonous because they don't want you to get that healing?
I firmly believe that information is controlled for power and profit. And information is something that is generally always financially motivated, and any new technology is always a weapon of war first. That's it. So there was a reason that, you know, during World War II, they hunted up all the gypsies and stuff like that in Europe. It's because they were connected to the land. They knew how to do everything without anybody's help. Yeah, you get rid of them, make everybody rely on the state now. You know, there's a reason that, you know, the witch trials existed, because all those women knew how to use plants to heal people, not through prayer. No, they went out and gathered 4 or 5 herbs and like something else and put it together in a thing and made you drink this bitter yuck stuff.
They're always stirring some shit.
You know what I mean? Putting their intention in it, you know?
Why is it bubble though? They got eyeballs and shit in there.
Yo, that's one of the things I haven't eaten yet is an eyeball.
Oh my God, I'm watching Alone right now, and this fucking guy's talking about how good fish eyeballs are. I'm like, I don't know, man. He's like, oh, they're crunchy and snappy. I'm like, I don't know if I can do it. Maybe if I'm fucking starving. I'm a fat guy, so, you know, I might eat a little bit crazier shit just because I'm hungry.
I worked in a slaughterhouse for a long time.
Oh, man.
So
Tell
I
me
got
about
to try
slaughterhouse
like
living. Holy fuck. That's got to be an experience.
I worked at the second largest custom processing plant in Missouri for like, I don't know, 8 years, something like that.
Pork, beef, and chicken, everything?
Pork, beef, goat, lamb.
Wow.
And that was right after I left the steel mill. So I went from catching on fire all the time. Like I was on probation, you know, so I had to like have a job, and my PO would like show up, you know, so it's like I couldn't just have no sham job. And I had gotten in trouble where I'd lived, and that's how I got on probation. And so it was a small town, and so everybody knew me, and I wasn't a local, so I couldn't get hired anywhere. Like I got turned down at McFucking-Donald's, man.
Holy shit!
Like they were like, "Oh, you got fast food experience? Sorry, you've been in the newspaper. You ain't working here."
What'd you do to get in the newspaper?
Cultivation.
Oh, for growing.
Yeah. So
what happened with that? Did you get raided? Like, what's the deal?
Yeah. I was young and ignorant, and one of my neighbors didn't like the fact that I had a black guy come up to visit, and so he came around and snooping and stuff like that, because it was an intensely racist area. I didn't really know it when I moved out there, but after I went to jail, I found out how racist it was, and it was wild. It was a wild place. But anyway, I had a friend come up to visit. That guy didn't like it. He thought we were doing up to no good. He kicked in my back door, saw that we were growing, called the cops. Next day, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys with guns and camo at my door, and that was that. You know.
Were they blending in or?
Oh no. No. They were
I never
just
get that shit. Why they got camo on?
Yeah, no. I did try to like pose for my pictures, shit like that, and then they they were like, "Nah, you can't do that." I was like, "Man, this is my moment."
Yo, 20 years from now, this is gonna fucking matter, bro.
Yeah, but no, they weren't having it. Wow. They just fucking cuffed me up, put me in the back, made me listen to Elvis.
That's not so bad. You don't like Elvis?
No.
You don't like Elvis?
Not an Elvis fan, no sir.
I like some Elvis.
That's good.
I like the Elvis that you can move and groove too, and you know.
I'm a James Brown man.
I like James Brown too. That should be the ow.
Mm-hmm.
The show.
I feel good.
Oh man, I love when the people put the speaker on and they turn that on and they all jump and shit. You ever see that on the internet? Oh my god, who doesn't love a good reel?
Yep.
So, you got busted.
Yeah, I got busted.
Couldn't get a job.
Couldn't get a job.
Working at a slaughterhouse.
Yep, and
the worst story you got right now.
Oh, from the slaughterhouse?
Yeah.
Oh.
Food we're eating. Not about the killing of the animals, but...
You want to know about food?
I want to teach
All right,
people
number one,
about food.
mad cow is way more prevalent than anyone will ever admit.
That's why I stopped eating beef, dude. It's bad fucking news.
No, it's not.
From the right source, it is.
Correct. So, mad cow, it's everywhere, right? But the thing is, like I found out through like tight religious communities out there that it's everywhere. So if you have like a drought, you'll buy this like protein tub thing, and it's made from liquefied cows from the slaughterhouse, right? It's this black goo, and they feed it to the other cows. Well, that's how they get the prion in their brain or whatever for the mad cow. And no one who has it will tell the government that it's there, because then the price of beef will drop and all their neighbors will lose their farms. So then they just shoot the animal, bury it in the backyard. Here's another one.
Wow.
Did you know that there's a term called cancer eye in beef? Cancer eye. Common thing. I didn't know that beef cattle get cancer in their eyeball. So we weren't allowed to say anything good or bad about the beef because it was a custom slaughterhouse. So the farmer sold directly to the customer, and we just charged per pound, right? This one farmer brought in a cow. It had cancer eye. He sold it for hamburger. Cheap. And I boldly asked, "Why are you doing this?" He said, "You don't eat the face."
Huh.
And I was like, oh, wow. Yeah. So, but then I also saw many good farms that were producing incredible high quality beef, like the Bionutrient Food Association. They're doing incredible work with beef right now. Shout out, Dan Kittredge. So.
Scary, bro. I'm like this document. I like documentaries on the internet.
Oh yeah.
Wake up early, you watch it, and it's like sometimes you believe it, and sometimes it's hard to believe it.
Yeah.
But it's so important for people to understand where their food is coming from. And we had a conversation about this, and again, we're going to talk about it at the consciousness event at the Dresden at the community barn, and we were sitting around like 8-10 of us, and there was a common thing that we were all talking about, and it was the problems and the things that people are doing to food, to their water, to the government or these agricultural companies or whoever is doing all this bad shit. And everybody was so focused on all the bad shit that they were doing, but they were missing this one piece. And I remember saying it, and everybody turned their head. And I was like, well, if you don't like what you're getting, go get it from somewhere you like.
Yeah.
Right? And I think
be the change you want to see.
Right. And there's 1,000 little farms out there, and you might spend $2 more on the hamburger, but they're going to go let you pet cows.
Yeah. They're actually going to be proud to show you where they raise the animals.
If the food's good, you're going to see.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's one of the things is like, I remember talking to a couple of animal rights activists, and I was like, look, this is not farming everywhere. You know, what you guys see is not farming. I said, you see industrial farming. I said, actual farming, the farmers love the animals because that's how they live.
My turkeys are 2 weeks past because I love them.
Thank you. Thank you. You know what I mean? All of these farmers they hold life precious because that's the vitality of themselves, their farm. They're connected to the land and the animals.
Yeah, if you're not building that connection with these things, then the food's disgusting.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. I've seen some hogs raised in ways that were very, very different than what I expected, and it showed in the quality of the meat.
Like
For
poorly
sure.
or better?
Poorly.
Yeah.
Poorly.
I was
Like
watching.
I've seen hogs raised on buffet food, like buffet scraps, what we eat. Oh man, there's a reason that America looks the way it does.
Oh, yeah.
Yo, you feed a pig buffet scraps, it turns into like this gelatinous, like see-through greasy fat. It's disgusting. It's disgusting.
Wow.
Oh man, it's bad. It's bad. So then I'm looking at all the people, you know, because like in Africa, you know, my buddy was over in Somalia, and he said that people smell like pork when they're cooking. Like, and that's why he won't eat pigs no more. The old long pig, you know.
Ugh.
So they're too close to us when it comes to the insides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I stopped eating beef like from pretty much from the grocery store everywhere for a while. I was having problems, like I was getting gout, and I didn't have it. Like I don't drink, like maybe a couple beers once in a while. Like I didn't have any of the things that people were really like saying the gout was from, except for like iron and things like that. Like, you know, and I said to my wife, I said, I eat a lot of beef. I was just trying to iron things out of my life, and I had a friend who didn't eat beef, and he was kind of inspiring about, hey, just try it. You know what I mean? Like, see what it is. And I was eating beef for like steak and eggs for breakfast, having a hamburger for lunch.
Thank you, God.
Yeah. I mean, I love steak. Don't get me wrong. I love beef products. But when I stopped using it all the time, dude, my feet stopped hurting, my joints stopped
Balance.
hurting. Yeah.
It's balance.
And that was what I was going to say, is if we don't consume things on this irrational, like just disgusting basis, everything is good. Nothing's bad. So right back to the comfrey. I mean, probably not going to do some things, but
You know, comfrey is
no eyeballs.
is a great plant. I don't have any right now at the farm. I got it over at my other buddy's farm, and I was going to get some cuttings of it last week, but I ended up getting high and forgetting.
I'll dig you some up out here.
Beautiful, thank you.
I got the block 20 or 14.
Bocking 14.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it doesn't seed.
Good.
Just a root. Man, that thing grows like a fucking devil, dude. You put one little thing in, and by the end of summer, it's like a bush.
I've grown both the Bocking 14 and the Bocking 4.
I'm not sure of all of them.
But yeah, the 14 is it's everything you need.
Yeah.
It's everything you need. There's a reason why everybody grows it, you know.
I mean, so people don't know about this, right? This was a Russian plant, correct? I'm not sure. I'm not 100%.
I believe it's a hybrid.
Okay.
Of like the Russian and like an English or something like that.
So there's this comfrey plant that we keep talking about. It's bred so that it doesn't seed out, so it doesn't like literally take over your entire property, because it is super fast growing. It's super evasive.
Yep.
But the way this one reproduces is only through its rootstock.
Yeah, yeah. The flower itself can't pollinate because it's like misshapen petals or something like that on the inner part of the flower.
Yeah. And man, the bees try.
I know.
The bumblebees, they get right in there. They're doing their thing, and it just doesn't happen for them. But I wonder if they're actually getting anything from it.
Probably.
I mean, why would they do it if they weren't, right?
Yeah.
They're not stupid.
No. And that's one of the things that I've always wanted to look at in regards to like maybe breeding or selection for cannabis, is to really look through gardens through UV and see what's really shining through in the UV spectrum, because flowers look totally different under UV. And that's what the insects are using, you know? And to be able to select a male under UV that's like, you know, fluorescing 5 times brighter than everything else in the field, you know, why? Why is it doing that? You know,
I've never
with the
thought
insects.
about this.
Yeah.
Keep going. This is fucking
You know, if
amazing.
the insects are drawn to it that much more, why is it? You know,
Right.
and can I use that to my advantage somehow? So,
Wow. Where did you come up with this?
oh man, like ideas just flow to me all the time, like in abundance.
That's
Like
crazy.
I see money everywhere. Like there's so much opportunity. Like so much opportunity. I used to come from a place of scarcity, and I no longer live in that. So there's no reason for me to hold back any ideas or like anything. I can just share my perspective, and a lot of times people are able to gain from it. Like I don't have to, but if someone else can capitalize on it, go for it. You know.
Wow. So you're thinking that if the male is brighter, meaning it's like more pest resistant?
I honestly don't necessarily know what would cause the inflorescence through the UV. Like I know that like an anthocyanin's going to change color under the UV, and it's probably going to get either darker, maybe flavonoid might fluoresce brighter, so would I be selecting for flavor out of that? Or, I honestly don't know. These are all just theoretical angles that just...
It's a great thought.
Yeah, like I had seen someone using a UV to fluoresce their dab rigs to see what flavonoids and anthocyanins were in the resins that they were smoking, and I thought that was just absolutely amazing. I was like, what? You can just use like a UV light and just see what you got in your product? Holy smokes, even that, just taking your rosin and hitting with a UV light, you're going to be able to see any like impurities or like anything like then you'll be able to see the different chemical constituents,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
On the plant side, it could be opposite. So the darker plant under that could be absorbing the most light, just thinking from a photography sense, because light, it is a reflection. It's not emitting that light. So it could be something that photosynthesizes more by being the darkest one in the field.
Yeah. That would mean that would be the most efficient. That would be the most efficient in that wavelength of spectrum, so like if
we could do that test very easily.
That'd be
that
pretty
sounds
cool.
fun.
Yeah. It's like a $200 thing for us to...
And even that UV, think about it, like that means that it's going to either A, have more protection during midday sun, or B, like be able to like, the plants with the anthocyanins are able to absorb more infrared, and so they have more of a frost resistance and things like that because they can warm up faster and they can take advantage of lower lights, so if you're talking about something that absorbs more light, then maybe you can even push it harder.
Right.
You know what I mean? During the sunnier days, it may drink 5 times more than the average plant because it's able to metabolize all that.
It's incredible. These plants, they make up our minds for us. And if we don't listen to them, they don't perform. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of times when we're like selecting phenos and stuff like that, it's so hard because we're like trying to get an expression from that moment, right? And it's not like, if I let this one go another week longer, it might have more potential than this one. We're making them machines. And this kind of goes back to like what I was getting so worked up about in the beginning and frustrated with. It's chasing this thing, right? It's like, okay, what goes the best in this system with this nutrients, with this lighting system, instead of going, you're free. This is the best we got. And that's why I think I love growing in the sun and in the greenhouse so much. It's if you can really build that soil and you give it the things that it needs and wants and in abundance and not excess, then we can see these true characteristics. We were talking about doing the pheno hunting, and you said, we were talking about in the no-till that I'm doing, like searching out these different flavors, and we're doing it in no-till because we're starting this no-till side of our company with one of our locations. So, do you have any experience with, you work? This question's gonna go backwards.
Okay.
Right. So you're working with some buddies now. That is this Wicked Sour.
Wicked Sour, represent.
Right. So he's a breeder. So you're telling me about this, and you're growing, he's breeding.
Yep.
Tell me about the different characteristics that you find using the sun, and like how do you guys do that kind of stuff?
Well, we generally don't run full season. We dep so that we can ensure that we're harvesting at the nicest time of year. Because I took so many licks on my outdoor grows growing up, I know what rot is, and I know that Maine's cold and wet at the end of the year.
Sure
and
is.
I've got a season that's 110 days of frost-free growing. That's not nice days. That's just not frozen.
Right.
So I don't grow Cali-style trees. You know what I mean? Like I work with what nature gives me, and I just do the best we can.
Right.
So
you're growing seed plants outside. I mean, you guys hunting
right,
still.
so
like, what's going on with Wicked Sour?
We put together a plan over the winter. We were growing a bunch of clones, and then we got a pest that organic measures could not get rid of.
Which?
It was a root aphid.
Okay.
Right.
Root
You
aphids.
can just put Band-Aids on them.
Sure.
But this was going to be my money crop to go outside, and I'm not going to put a diseased plant outside.
Good move.
Not on the start. So I could either poison people or throw it all away.
Right.
So I threw it all away, and took the L. you know? And so it was like, all right, well, what are we going to do? Well, we make hash. So we have the capability. We had the seed stock. So it was like, all right, let's run from seed. And it was like, are you crazy? Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm crazy enough too. Let's do it. You know, and having faith in our breeding, having faith in our environment, having faith in our skill set means that we have a season again. And we just started harvesting yesterday.
Wow.
You know, so luckily for me, I got a little break today. Otherwise, I'd be grinding sun up to sundown and then washing hash all night. You know what I mean? So our goal is to process it as fresh as possible, to get it to a state that is like pristine. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want it degraded in any way.
So
I want it to be as fresh as possible.
Right from the plant to the
Right to the plant, to the freezer, to the stir, to the packaging, and then just, you know, stored, frozen, freezed, you know, all that stuff.
Cool.
So.
Saving for special days and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. You brought some hash with you. We're gonna
I love hash.
take some pictures of that stuff and get it up and show people what's going on with your work. How do you want to talk about a little bit? How do you make your hash? I mean,
well, I mean, basically we harvest everything and freeze it as fast as possible, and just regular like chest freezers, and then we'll wash it in 55-gallon barrels by hand with ice and water. Run it through some sieves, freeze dry it, and then check it, and if it's got too much moisture, hit it again more in the freeze dryer, and then we will freeze it, package it into the rosin bags, press it, cool it, collect it, refrigerate it, and then we will sous vide it for like an hour or two, and then we'll take it out, whip it, and then crash it back again in the fridge, and then vac it.
wow,
Yeah.
a lot of work.
Yeah, well, it's to really like homogenize and uniform the product. You know what I mean? Because, but like the sous vide allows us to get it to the exact temp we want really quickly and hold it there, and then we can just end it, you know, and then just whip it, cool it, boom, done. I mean, I won't open it after right after it comes out of the sous vide. I'll let it come to room temp, so that I don't like.
What is a sous vide?
It's like a hot water bath with a heating element in it that just circulates the water.
Yep.
So I'll vac seal the jars and then put them in a sous vide bath.
So what is your favorite strain to wash right now? I know you guys got one. What are you most excited about? What are people going to be looking forward to? People are coming to look for Wicked Sour Weed.
Honestly,
after this show.
I've got a bunch of Banana OG stuff that we're running and testing that I'm really excited about, only because I haven't had too many Banana OG like concentrates. So I got a bunch of hybrids of Banana OG that we're hunting, and I know the Jersey Juice stuff that's going to come out is going to be fire. Like, it's so good, so much flavor, and I love the high on it for daytime. Like, it's just a happy, social, get shit done kind of effect. And yeah, so I'm excited about the banana just because banana flavor is awesome. Like your rosin that I tried at the Water Conscious thing was on point. I love
that
it.
Dirty Nana's super fire. Shout out to the Beast Coast Bacon boys. They were just on last week to do a show. So
Excellent.
yeah, we're actually that Dirty Dosey is the dirty male that they used crossed with Dosey. So that should be pretty exciting.
Is that the NorCal Dosey?
I'm not sure where that one came from.
Okay.
Everybody, there's like 3,700 Dosies in the world. Like, you know.
Oh yeah.
Is it the creamy, gassy one, or is it the really fruity one? I'm like, it's a fruity one.
Yeah, I don't know too much about like Cookie's gene pools, but I do know that I'm supposed to get that NorCal Dosey just because we're supposed to be breeding with it, just because it's a proven pedigree to hybridize with, you know.
I grew a Dosey one time, and a few times I had it for a while in the stable, and it was just chocolatey, earthy, just like real sticky, resinous, heavy bud.
Yeah. We have a grape Dosey cut that's like whenever you cut it and it cures for like, you know, 3 weeks or something like that, it's got that really like grape pie like kind of top end. But if you let it cure for like 2 months, it's all that peanut butter Dosey kind of bottom end. It's so good. And that one dumps hash, dumps it. And it's like, if we do it right, it turns out like just white. It's
Fantastic.
gorgeous.
I want to try some of that.
I don't know if I have any grape dosi. I got some grape dosi mixed with wedding pie. That's just flavor on flavor. It's pretty good.
Love it.
Yeah, there it is. Wedding pie, grape dosi.
Let me check this shit out.
Yeah.
Wow. That smells fantastic. I don't know if you can see it in there. Can you hear it? It's loud.
I love it.
Hold on, turn my headset down. This shit is way too loud right now. Oh man, I'm gonna try all these.
Definitely.
My Puffco, the inside, just died on me. So
Did it?
we'd be smashing dabs right now. But wow, look at this stuff. So fresh. Wow,
You like that one? That one's Kush Cakes.
that's nice.
This one's lemon mints.
Wow, even lighter in color.
And then this one's ether.
I like that. I wouldn't have said, "Oh, let me get the lemon mints."
Yeah, I know. It's a sleeper. I held on to it for a couple of years, and
That's beautiful.
like I had to let it go. I bred with it a bunch, we bred with it a bunch, but let it go.
I mean, all these are fantastic.
Thank you. We
Really
put our
nice.
heart and soul into it.
Really nice job, guys. Wow. You can tell that there's a lot of intent in that hash, and just listening to the process.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
You know you love it.
that's just the wash. You know what I mean? That's not even like the grow or like the intention into the grow or like gathering the nutrients or processing and fermenting and straining.
Let's talk about that now, then.
All right. Just the other day, I went out and gathered some plants. Mother Nature's good to me whenever I'm humble and I just stay observant and whenever I appreciate the beauty that's there. Whenever I go out there with a mission and I'm not like observant and I'm not thankful, I get my ass beat. I get eaten alive by mosquitoes. I get thorns to the face, like I suffer for it and I don't get what I want. But when I go out there and I'm thankful and I stop and appreciate how beautiful things are and how bountiful it is, she just gives, right?
Wow.
So I went out there with the wrong attitude right at first. I'm like, I'm going to go get this and this, and I went out there and I was a week late and I saw 2 of the plants that I wanted to gather. And I can't willingly just go take the last 2 plants. That's not cool. So I'm like, all right, well, you screwed up, but it's still a great day. What else can you gather? And so I went out and I gathered a bunch of Pearly Everlasting, Mugwort, and I'm trying to think what the other one was. It'll come to me in a second. But the Pearly Everlasting, I haven't fermented that one into plant food before, so that'll be the first one for me.
Talk about your fermenting process.
I originally got into natural farming kind of through a back door. Like I was on probation for a long time in Missouri, and I couldn't grow my favorite plant, so I grew every other plant under the sun. And I got good at it because I had always heard if you can grow good tomatoes, you can grow good ganja. Well, I fucking hate tomatoes. I hate tomatoes. So turns out there's hundreds of varieties of tomatoes. I ended up getting a job at a greenhouse, heirloom tomatoes. I grew hundreds of varieties of tomatoes. I gave away every single one of them. I like Cherokee purple tomatoes. They're great. They're
So
like
there
the
is hope for tomatoes
OG
for you.
KB. They're like the OG KB of tomatoes. They're the worst things to grow ever, but they got flavor on flavor and they're amazing. I won't ever grow them again. Not a fan of tomatoes. But at that same time, I learned all about the different farming methods. Every yard sale I went to, every library, everywhere I would check out books and just keep reading, go on different forums and read. And I was thoroughly educated in conventional agriculture. I could do it all. And then one day I came across the unconventional farmer, Gil Narangang, and he fucked me all up. Threw my whole game for a loop. He basically was like, yo, you're being lied to, and you can make fertilizer out of anything that was alive or dead. And I'm like, wait, what? He's like, oh, no, it's like mad cheap. Like, you don't have to buy anything. And I'm like, oh, shit. Like, this is freedom. Okay. I want to learn everything I can about being free. Because I know what being on the tit's like. I know what having to go to the store is. Like, when I was in the Ozarks, there was no grow store, no hydro place. I could buy nutrients and supplies for 3 months out of the year from a Home Depot an hour and a half away. Because no one knew me there. No one would guess why I'm buying all these bales of fucking Pro Mix and shit like that and Paralite. No one would question it if I did it at a certain time of year and in the 2 towns over, you know, I could get away with it. But if I bought anything at my local stuff, I was going to jail. You know what I mean? Like,
wow.
So learning how to get off of the system was freedom. Meant that I could stay out of jail. You know what I mean? And it also meant that I wasn't putting money into a pocket of someone I didn't agree with. And that's like we were talking about with our food. It's like, how are you actually going to be the change you want to see? Like, are you going to support Monsanto and, you know, big dairy corporation, or are you going to help out your neighbor who sells raw milk? You know what I mean? Like, where's your dollars going?
Right.
Yeah, it might be an inconvenience to go just get milk from the farm instead of getting milk while you're at the grocery store. But the farm also might have some eggs and some greens and everything else that you hadn't considered buying from them. Just ask them.
Most of the time, they're cheaper than the grocery store.
Yeah, just ask them. What else can they offer you? Because most farms don't know how to market.
Right.
They're waiting for the customer to ask them to do something because they're like, oh, yeah, I can do that. Sure. You know, ask them what else can you offer me? Like, I've been thinking about doing things like I'm up there north, like where the Amish are and stuff,
right.
You know, and I'm thinking like plant ferments and stuff on scale. And I'm like, I wonder how, if I can just put out a little newspaper ad down there at the Amish store, get a bunch of these Amish teenagers out there, like gathering plants and like 55-gallon drums of this stuff, you know? And I just haven't done it yet. But the power of people is amazing.
Sure is.
And the work ethic up there is a little stronger than other places,
Has
you
to
know,
be.
because if you don't work, you die. You know, it culls the weak from the herd up there. It's so cold.
That's so funny. It really does. I mean, you can see that all over Maine. Like, you know, the farther you get north, it just they're different up there. Yeah, it's because they're hardened off. They're used
I'm
to
from
doing it
Florida.
themselves.
I'm from Florida. I lived in PA for like 5 years when I was a kid. I got frostbite like 9 times, almost lost my hands. Like, me and cold don't get along. I don't have any other reason to be here other than freedom. I'm not like into the cold. That's why I live in a grow room all the time. It's like 75 in my world all the time. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm not skiing and snowboarding and shit. I tried to snowboard, fell down the mountain the whole way. Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'll be in a grow room. Yeah.
That's your happy place.
It is today. Like, it is today. Actually, I love being in the woods, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to be inside no more. Like, ugh.
I like growing in the greenhouse. I like growing outdoors. Just because you're outdoors, you know, you are that much more tuned in with nature. And
Yeah, I take my shoes off a lot, so much whenever I'm out in the outdoor grow. Like, if I'm in the indoor grow, I'm not taking my shoes off.
I've never known you to wear shoes. I see you in my mind, and I see work boots, like the muck boots.
Oh yeah, that's it. That's
live
it.
in these
Those
things.
are my get shit done boots.
Yeah, me and Jake have get shit done boots too. We go hard in the muck boots.
I know you guys do. I know you guys do. You got working man hands, both of you.
Oh man, it's so fun to like get to know people and like hear about their stories and the way that they do and the way they create. And one of the things you said to me before we got on the show was like, man, if I'm just up there doing nothing, if I'm just up there doing everything that I want to do, I'm not of service.
That's it.
You know, and I know that we've chatted a little bit about it. You said it a couple of times, being of service to your fellow man and stuff. And that comes from your religious belief.
It does. It does. It also comes from living on the other side of that equation of living for self. I've done that. Like, I've fallen in love with a $100 bill before. You know what I mean? Like, I've been completely blinded by dumb shit. I know what that feels like.
For real.
So, like, I no longer have any desire to invest in anything other than dynastic wealth for my people and my tribe and growing my tribe. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
beautiful, bro.
That's it. Like, I'm looking to secure a future for our people. Like, I got friends out west, they talk about the culture is gutted, eviscerated, devastated. They have no more weed culture.
No.
And I'm like, well, how are we going to preserve it and foster it and culture it and make sure that it grows beyond us? You know? And like part of the things that me and my buddy Wicked were talking about was taking a percentage of our harvest every single time and donating it to events where people actually show the fuck up and give that shit away and get high like we used to. What used to happen after harvest? You got high with all your fucking friends.
Right.
Let's do it again. What's it going to cost us?
It's not going to cost us anything. I mean, you don't really have to take a certain percentage because you just, my thought is when we harvest these things, you want to share with people.
Yes.
And I think what happens is because of how many cultivators there are and how people value themselves so much and they live with this ego of, I'm scared to bring my weed to these things because so-and-so's there and his shit's really good. I see it on the internet, or I know that so-and-so is a fire hash maker and they're intimidated by it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you don't have to be like that because a lot of the guys like this, like you, will sit there and give them fucking every ounce of tech that they need to create themselves because you're not hiding that.
No, that's the thing is like.
So don't be scared is what I'm saying don't be scared to come up and shoot
I'm
this
honestly,
guy.
like whenever I met Doc, I was intimidated to meet him because I knew that he was a top tier grower. You know what I mean? And that, well,
I love you, brother.
being able to have peers, right? And then have someone who's like, you know, way better than you at this, but you're better at this, then you can synthesis. You know what I mean? Like lift each other up.
For sure.
You know, like you're way better at a lot of things than I am. Right. You know,
but you're way better at a lot of things than I'm not.
That's what I'm saying. I can't win a Super Bowl by myself. Like I can't throw myself a Hail Mary pass. I got to have a wide receiver. You know what I mean? I got to have a running back. I got to have an offensive line. I can't win a Super Bowl by myself. I don't care how awesome I am. Yeah. I have to have a team. I want to be able to sleep at night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I to be on a team, that's the most important part, and not to be the coach of the team. Like when I started this business, Humble Family, you know, it was me and my wife, right? And it was 6 lights in a basement.
Yep.
with an HVAC unit that I put in because I was an HVAC guy. So you can just imagine what that looked like.
Great.
Yeah. Classic, just more tape than tin. Just, you know, I got it done.
Worked. It worked.
Fucking hammered for like 3 years, right?
Yeah.
So the true intent was to nurture these plants and let them nurture us back. And like, I didn't realize that the regenerative cycle that I had going on then until I learned about regenerative farming now and like regenerative mindset and principle and just like way of thinking and like to look at it then and then to jump into where I'm at now. And I've created this giant fucking thing. And it's not even giant really. It just looks really big because we're spread out a lot. You know, like we have a little place over here, we have a little place over here, we're doing this, we're doing that. And I've lost myself and I got myself in this mindset of chase, do. And when I was in that mindset, I lost my concept of that regenerative, loving these plants, all plants. I mean, when you walk around my property here, I love all plants. I was a little kid. I was literally in the knees deep in the dirt with my grandmother growing every freaking plant that, you know, the good Lord put under the sun for us to consume and be part of, and doing farming practices of worm culture. And like the shit that she did back then was like crazy. And it's all the shit that we're doing now.
Yeah.
And we named it. And to live in the moment where you are taking the abundance and not consuming every aspect of it, and to be thankful for that, that's fucking magic, bro. And that's the shit that I hope people really get to hear out of your mouth today. And it's not about the hash and it's not about these things. It's just a constant, it's a mindset.
Attitude of gratitude, man. I got legs today. You know what I mean? Like I woke up alive, not buried under, 6 feet of earth. That's a blessing. Oh my God.
Amen.
You know, when I worked at the slaughterhouse, like I walked like Quasimodo. I had a limp, like my shoulders were crooked. I couldn't feel my right arm. Like I thought I was going to be in a wheelchair. Like I thought I had spinal degenerative arthritis like my real dad. I thought it was genetic. I thought I was rotting. Turns out I was just beating the shit out of myself. And after I retired, I healed. And Now I can walk upright like a man. You know, I can lift up my kid if I want to. You know, like, life is good, man. Life is so good. I ate enough shit sandwiches back in the day that, like, I balance the scales. I'm on the way up, bro. I'm on the way up.
No more shit sandwiches.
Nah.
That's the name of this episode, Jake.
Yep.
I know you were thinking it, brother. I could hear it.
I already named it. You didn't name that one.
I mean, Jake's awesome. He's the guy that is behind the scenes. He's doing all these reels. He's cutting and taping. And
I watch
pasting.
him.
Dude,
I watch him.
He's badass, dude. He kills it. He helped me find this property that we're on. This is we used to work. I say for me, but really he was working with me.
Yeah,
and he was the guy that would be like fucking 90 degrees out, 95 degrees, and catching the rainstorm, and we're out there throwing seeds in the air and
my hat,
joking about it. Like, yeah, dude, we and a couple other good guys that we had involved when we first got this place kicked some fucking major ass. These boys worked their tail off, and we started this show. And so I'll bring you full circle, but we started this show in the building that I was growing in the basement. And now my recreational cannabis company owns that building.
Perfect.
And it's like totally rehabbed, like, and that building is where Jake and I ended our friendship originally over some ego bullshit, fucking lost thoughts, like not just, it was so long ago that we've already squashed it that I can't even remember certain
Thanks,
things.
God.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
And he was after me for like 6-7 months. He's like, dude, we started chatting again. And I was like, dude, I really liked his energy, dude. You know what I mean? I
You
like,
can't deny it. I love
I
it.
fucking missed him. He challenges me.
Persistent motherfucker, too.
He is.
Mm-hmm.
He's like a cross between like a cold and herpes that, like, you know, it
Oh,
never
that's
really
perfect.
goes away, but you can deal with it.
And it grows on you.
Yeah, and it grows on you. And you can
And all
spread
your
it around
friends.
a little bit.
Yeah.
He's like, it's not that bad. It's a little runny nose.
It's
You're
fine.
all right.
Yeah.
No, seriously though, his vision for this show was 3 years ago, and the regeneration of forgiving and closing loops and bad shit in the past, dude, is like so cool. So now, speed it up. I'm sitting here with you. Change my growing mindset. Talking about all these different things, and now we're talking about building communities. We're talking about healing ourselves. We're like, the universe is fucking nuts, dude, right? And it's like they give you
It's a
people,
wild place.
and then they take them away, and then they make you realize how grateful you are, and then all of a sudden people are back in your life, and you're able to do crazy things. That's just one small piece of what I'm like super grateful right now. I know you mentioned that you're a widow. You know, you lost your wife, and is that like the most change in your life that you could say was like the thing that changed? What is the thing that really changed you from like where you were to where you are?
The birth of my daughter would be the first one, but the most recent one, the one that probably made me grow the most, was whenever I realized that I wasn't a pig with thumbs, that I had a soul. And because I had been living a very, very hedonistic earthly lifestyle for a long time because I didn't think that there was anything else. And once I got depth and meaning to life, that was a gift that is immeasurable. Faith. And like, I don't have to see the air to know that I can breathe it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, be the change you want to see, and all of a sudden change happens.
What made that change? What sparked it?
Shit.
Where was the spark, bro?
I came to understand that the world was magic, whether we liked it or not, and that words were spells. And I operated under that auspice for a couple of years. I got heavily into the occult, and all of it works.
The occult?
Yeah.
Tell me about this.
It, like, the most powerful people in the world use magic. Like, they do their faith-based things, and, you know, and there's a reason. Like, all of the corporate logos are magic sigils, like, all of it. And they affect our human consciousness on a subconscious level, and that affects your conscious being. And I was like, well, holy shit. Well, if they can do it, then I can do it. Then I can play the game on fair level. you know? And then I realized that whenever you do that stuff, you have to pay a price. There's cost associated with that kind of a game. And I didn't like that. So even though all that shit works, you still got to pay for it. And then I came to the understanding that, wait, all of this power comes from somewhere. And that means that there's God. Holy shit. I don't want no second tit. I don't want hind tit. I want the fucking source. I want the source. So I went to the source, and instead of actually paying a price, all you do is follow the rules, and then you get blessings in abundance. You don't suffer. Every now and then you plant your crops and it fucking hails, but that's life. You know what I mean? I'm okay with that. I'm not trading anything for anything. I don't stand behind another man's line. I have a relationship with my God, and I get rewarded richly.
That's powerful, dude.
Oh, dude, it's so good. So good.
So Christianity.
Yeah.
Now, how often do you go to church, and like, what is that stuff like? Like, what kind of level are you involved in? I want people to know who you are, bro. Because
all right.
You know, I think that there's a lot of weed that, you know, goes around the table, but a man of faith is powerful. So, whether it's believing in something else. So
I came to Christ a couple of years ago. I'm new. I'm like a freaking toddler, you know. So I'm raw in this. Like I said, I lived on the other side of the law for a long time, and my thinking is that of such. So I met this guy who's a friend of mine's dad. Turns out he was a preacher for a long time, and he ended up having church in his house for like 10 years. But he shut his church down like a while ago, and he grew weed, right? So I knew him because he was a weed grower. I didn't know he was a preacher. And then he stroked out, and he wasn't right for a long time. He was in a coma, and he came back, and I was like, "Yo, you're back." And by that point, I had my own, you know, epiphany that, you know, my soul exists outside of my body. You know what I mean? Like, I am more than just this piece of meat. And I was hungry for more information, right? Because I had been to church. I'd been raised in church when I was a kid, you know, but I thought that religion was a tool of oppression. Like, it's a way to shackle the mind and the masses and the rich, and they do whatever the fuck they want, you know? They don't follow the same rules. Religion so that the poor don't eat the rich,
right?
You know. And but I went to church with my grandma and stuff like that, and I'd be in these like big services, and I would get high, real high, like on the vibe, whatever you want to call it. And I'm like, holy shit, what the fuck is going on? Like, I thought it was like psychic energy or something, you know what I mean? Like the power of prayer. That's the way I always described it in my mind. It's like, yo, people can pray away cancer and shit, you know, whatever, you know, power of belief, placebo, nocebo, whatever the hell it is. I was just vibing on the people. Turns out it was probably a little bit more than that. And I was just not clever enough to understand what was happening, you know, like I didn't vibe with any of the spiritual shit for a long time, man. Like, I went to Christian school and shit for a little bit after I got kicked out of my middle school. And then I went to regular public high school and shit. And Christianity, like I said, I just saw it as a tool to oppress people. And same thing with Islam and Judaism and all that stuff. They're just shackles. But that's not right. That's not right. Like a couple of the major religions, you know, they got their own things. Christianity's got its own thing. But it doesn't matter what the fuck they got going on. Be part of something bigger than yourself. And if you don't like it, try to change it while you're in the fucking midst of it. You know what I mean? Don't try to change it from the outside. You know what I mean? Be a part of the change. You know, it's a positive structure. Go for it. Wow. It's way better than hanging out in a fucking bar.
Amen.
You know, like
bitching about everything.
Yeah. You know, I could fucking hang out with the guy selling fucking rocks on the corner and talking about the neighborhood and how it's going to shit. Or I can go to the fucking Salval church and see if I can help with the food kitchen. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck am I doing? You know? Like, there's good people there.
Amen.
So, my grandma always told me, you're not going to meet a nice girl at a bar, maybe a library.
Wise woman.
Yeah.
Wise woman. She didn't know about, like, there's dating apps and shit, though. There's nice women on there.
Sure. Lots of nice women everywhere. Lots of nice women everywhere.
That's cool. I can really respect the putting faith. Like I have been learning about. I'm in my infancy of like trying to like put away my ego, fucking live with true intent, like just trying to be more than myself. And you know, when I was originally getting sober 11 years ago, going through rehab, it was like I remember like one of the big things that my mentors always said to me is just believe in something other than yourself. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck that means, right?
Yeah.
Like I have no clue. And the more that I meet people like yourself, like I believe currently that the universe is just like flooding me with like all these different human beings and all these different walks of life to like test me and to like reward me and like just to be like
bring you into your own understanding.
Yeah, and like just like give me this flat board that I can go, I want to put some of this spice here, I want to put some of that, like kind of the same way I grow. I'm learning to be more spiritual. Like I've cried more in the last 60 days than I have in,
thanks God.
I can't remember ever crying like friends' funerals, like deep remorse. I've celebrated these things through having men like you around that are not scared to be who you are and believe in what you believe in.
I get scared shitless. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Like none of it fucking matters though, because you have courage to overcome your fear, right? Like that's it. You just do it. So even though you're scared, you still do it.
Yeah.
Because the only way for evil to survive is for good men to do nothing.
Wow. Yeah, I've heard that before, but that is, when you say it and I look into your eyes and I can feel it in my throat and like my chest and like raw emotion. You can't fucking hide raw emotion and like true belief.
I live now. I live.
Yeah.
Like I lived a fractured life for so many years, like living as like 5 different people, you know? And now for the first time, I get to be myself. And I like who I am.
I like who you are too, brother.
You know what I mean? Like
the minute I met
awesome,
you, I was like, this
so
guy's
it's
the
a good day to be
man.
me. It's a good day to be me. I can walk upright. Thank you, God.
I think a lot of people get trapped in who they were and they say, okay, this is who I am because I've done this. I've been a meat cutter my whole life. I've been a fisherman my whole life. I've been a potato farmer my entire life. I've been a cynic. I've been, you know, I don't like this kind of person or whatever it is. You're not that person. You're only that person for that moment. And to get beyond that place and to find out who you truly are, you're not an asshole. No one wakes up in the morning and just wants to be a fucking asshole.
No, I wake up and I know I'm awesome. And that's what I tell myself. I don't fucking, whenever someone says, what do you do? I say, I'm awesome.
You fucking said that to me, dude.
Because that's what I am. That's who I embody, you know? Like, I'm not just a weed grower. I'm an herbalist. I'm a father. I'm a friend. Like, I'm a teacher.
A brother.
You know what I mean? Like, so whenever someone's like, hey, what do you do? Yo, I'm awesome.
Yeah.
So it's the only way that I can teach my subconscious mind to let myself be that. Like, I found out, you know, that like words affect your reality and stuff like that. And then I was always taught that like, because I was smart, that my mind was my own worst enemy. It was going to get me in trouble because of the way that I am with authority and things that I just don't vibe with certain things unless I, you know, it resonates with me and I'll just do whatever the fuck I want, whenever I want. And
right.
So I was taught that being smart was bad. You know, like whenever I was in school, it was ostracizing to like, all the teacher just asked the question to me over and over. The whole class would just turn around and look at me over and over. And it was like, felt like a fucking freak. And then I got in trouble for being smart because I was always scheming and stuff, you know? And then come to find out, my subconscious mind was soaking all that shit in, right? Turns out my subconscious mind is my best friend. He's always looking out for me. And he's never been my enemy, right? So now that I look at my subconscious mind, I talk to them and I tell them and instruct them who I am. Who I am. I tell my subconscious mind who I am, and then I step into it with my physical body. So, like, I used not to be a grateful human being. I was a miserable prick. I was meaner than fuck. You know what I mean? And I didn't give a fuck about anyone, anything. I was not empathetic. And now I care because I've told myself 100 times that people are more important than things. You know, like I care. Like a rich man never talks about a Ferrari when he's dying. He talks about all the people that he knew. You know what I mean?
Or the mistakes he made and he wished he didn't.
Yeah, because he lost people. You know? So I love people and I love plants. And that's my world, man.
I like my dog too. I got the same
I've
similarities.
been bit by too many dogs, man.
I've been bit by too many people, though. I forgave them, you know.
Life keeps getting better and better.
I've bitten a few, and I hope that they can find forgiveness in me. You know, changing who you are is not easy.
It took a number of years. Like I took all my T-shirts that had like negative shit on them, and like I threw them away. I got rid of all my CDs that had a bunch of fucking like angry punk rock and gangster rap and shit. Put them away. I stopped feeding myself. Like once I realized that diet is not what you eat, but it's what you consume. So everything that goes in my eyes, ears, mouth, nose, everything affects my mind. And so I started to limit all of the negative cultural influences that I had thought was normal. And then all of a sudden the change was easier.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't being polluted by other people's messages. I could listen to my heart.
It's important to be able to hear that thing, huh? The mind's a weapon, the heart's reality.
Yeah, I don't like listening to it all the time. I'm just going to be real. It's painful and it's overwhelming sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm getting used to it. I'm grateful that it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having a heart is, God, yeah, this is quickly going to go in a direction where I get a little sappy because
Perfect.
No, I won't be, but the reality is I genuinely do care about people. And I think that when I was using that illusion of I don't give a fuck about these people or I hate this person, it was really the situation that I couldn't deal with because I couldn't understand my own fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not the person, it's just the situation. And it's changing that mindset that, you know, stops you from being the asshole to the guy that understands, no?
Yeah, like whenever I come to understand, like whenever I find someone in my life that just like bothers the shit out of me, it's because I see myself in them. Like I see the parts of myself that I hate, and if I say anything out loud negative about them, I'm saying it about myself. Like if I'm like, oh man, that guy's a piece of shit, money hungry, fucking, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit. I wish them well. I hope they succeed.
Same shit.
You know what I mean? Like, sorry, appreciate that. Thank you, God. You know, don't strike me dead. But yeah, I catch myself regularly making sure that I'm speaking positively about everyone that I come in contact with. And I had a talk with my my minister. I started training to be a minister through him a couple of months ago.
Cool.
So I was talking to him privately about like, how do I, as like a man of faith, like approach a situation where I know something negative about someone, you know what I mean? And without like talking shit, without tearing them down, without like just spreading ill will or whatever, you know what I mean? He said, just tell them that what your experience with this person is. That's it. Don't tell them your feelings about it. Just say, this happened. And that's it. Let's base our decision on that. And I was like, well, that's really fucking simple. Okay, I can handle that. Just don't talk shit. Just facts. Okay, simple. I can maintain my faith that way and be a businessman. Good. You know?
Have you used that?
Honestly, I have. And it's been so simple. It worked out like just like a glove, man. It was just like, oh, why wouldn't it work out that way? You know, have you ever done a business deal where emotion was a positive?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's challenging. It's challenging. Generally, if you can eliminate everything else out of it besides just the information, whether it's a good or bad deal, you know, that's it.
Right.
You don't have to talk shit.
No.
You just have to know the information.
Right. I think it's so important that we remember to understand both sides too. You know what I mean? When you're coming from a situation of either someone's talking shit or you're not talking shit or you're dealing with a situation, it's to understand that there's more than one side to that story and that there's probably like three sides to that story.
Oh yeah, that's another thing that I've really appreciated with my faith in my higher power is like, oh shit, I'm not supposed to know. Like, I'm only supposed to know a little bit of what's going on. Like, it's not up to me to know all of this extra shit. I shouldn't pray for any of that knowledge. I don't need to know any of it. I'm just supposed to have faith and just rock it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like they're supposed to be doing them. I'm not supposed to judge them. Okay, great. You do you, homie. Go for it, man. I hope you win. You know, hope we can do business in the future sometime or not.
Yeah.
Whatever. It doesn't matter. There's no such thing as competition.
No.
Only cooperation. The more cooperative we are, the more we win.
And I think the more honest we are with each other, the easier that cooperation becomes. You know, I've personally, so this is what I see, and I'm in the cannabis industry, and I deal with this a lot. Is people need to sell their product, right?
Yeah.
And farmers need to move product to make money.
Yeah,
Well,
and it's a perishable product.
Right. So our medical industry, where we are, super slow. And I want to help all these different farmers. Mm-hmm. But it's like
volume is volume. You just
there's
can't
no
create
fucking
it.
cash flow. You
You
know
just
what I
can't
mean?
create it.
Yeah.
No.
So having to tell people like we can't participate with your product, like I don't have the financial money to buy. I want to put everybody's shit on my shelf.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's been the hardest part for me to be like and not that people's weeds suck. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
the first thing is people take that like mindset and they're like, he said no. That means he doesn't like my shit. You know what I mean? Like I had to deal with this like 2 days ago, and that's why I bring it up because I have a friend and they brought weed to our shop and their weed's fire.
Yeah.
I smoke it myself. Like I have no problem.
And
They
want street prices instead of shop prices.
And that's the thing is they're coming away from being on that market and they're like, now they don't understand that there's so much more that goes in these freaking stores and like
The tax structures are totally different for the producer versus the shop. I learned that just this year. Yeah. Like I thought there was like a huge like windfall of profit margins in the shop side of it, and then I saw the tax structures associated with it, and it's brutal.
It's brutal.
It's brutal. Like if you're following the rules, a shop is an outlet to get your farmer's stuff to the fucking market.
It's literally,
you know
like
what I mean?
You need a shop just to move your own weed.
Yeah.
Because if you try to like do anything else, you can't write off anything.
Yeah.
Labor, nothing.
Yeah.
So if you're not owning a shop that is like literally yours and running it yourself, good luck, man. We learned that the hard way. It's challenging.
Like coming out of retirement to play ball legally, you know, and then finding out like, yo, the biggest kick in the dick, man. Like that whole thing where like, if you're not rec in like another 30 days, they're barring all new genetics entering the market.
Is that real?
Yeah. Like I'm panicked in my spot because I'm like, who can I partner with that's rec that will accept my mother stock before they're just eliminated from rec?
I will right now on camera. Definitely.
Talk.
Yeah,
We'll talk.
for sure.
Thank you so much because that alleviates a huge stress off my mind because
That's the only thing
we've
I
done
can do
so
for the
many
farmers
years
right now is I
work.
could take their genetics and I can bring them into my shops and I can say, hey, this is so-and-so's cut of this. And we can create seed stock from these genetics inside of that metric
Well, it's
system.
just making sure that they're in metric before they're outlawed.
Yeah.
Because we put in so many years worth of work collecting all of these rare
I
things.
need to confirm that that's real. How did you confirm that that's real? I heard this, but I didn't know it was real.
I had seen an OMCP like advertisement or something like that.
Damn.
Like, yeah.
And what is your knowledge of it? They said that if you're what?
Basically, they're shutting the window for metric genetics, like because there's no metric in med, right? But there's metric in rec, so seed to sale tracking in the rec market, and they're looking to shut down the window of new stuff coming in. So they have a closed system. That way, they know that if you're growing Blue Dream, they can expect to tax you on 2.5 to 3 pounds.
Per light, yeah.
So they don't want to have to say, we're going to have to send a guy out to verify that you're growing a plant that only yields 3/4 pound of light.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we think you're backdooring it. Oh. So they're also looking to make sure that they tax and regulate everyone producing seed and genetics in the marketplace. They don't want a whole bunch of new people. It's regulatory capture. Yeah. It's obscene. Like they're throttling back development in order for profits to stay in the mids market. They don't want anybody like progressing, you know?
They're going to cap the THC?
Yo, I had seen something that was like crazy where it was like, I forget which state it was, but they're like talking about taxing per milligram of THC. So it's like, as like a farmer, you're thinking, oh man, I'm gonna grow this super fire weed. It's gonna be 29%. And you're taxed like $600 a pound. Well, your neighbor grows like 21% and he's taxed at like $400 a pound. You know what I mean? And it's like, if you're only getting, you know, $1,200, $1,600 a pound and you're paying half of that in taxes.
Yeah.
Yo, what's that going to do to the market?
No,
we talk about the customers driving the market based on a fucking THC test label. What's it going to do to the agricultural production cycle whenever we have that kind of tax structure?
And what's it going to do to our food when they say, oh, that's less nutrient dense and this is more nutrient dense?
Yo, that Bionutrient Food Association, they got that that gizmo thing that scans the food, tells you whether or not it's a piece of shit or whether it's like actually nutrient dense. That's going to revolutionize things.
Wow. Tell us about that.
Dan Kittredge runs the Bionutrient Food Association. I've been following them since forever, man. I met him at the Sturbridge, Mass Regenerative Conference. He and I didn't jive right at first. He called me a corporate whore. That's okay. We got to know each other afterwards, and we're cool. Yeah, I come at things from a market perspective, and he's got a lot of heart and soul in what he's doing because he knows that real food is medicine. So they basically got a mass spectrometer device that they've been running and collecting samples of common vegetables, and they're creating a database of quality. So 1 carrot will scan at a 2 because it's got very little mineral density. Then you get one that scans at a 9. That's the one you want to buy because it's got a shitload of minerals in it. So this device now in the hands of the consumer can then drive the market. Whereas before the farmer was being paid by the pound, now he can be paid by nutrient density. So now the farmer is incentivized not to grow pretty crops, but to grow nutrient dense crops. So this will revolutionize agricultural production whenever this database is commercialized. Right now it's being built. They just got funding to do beef. So they got I think 12 vegetables and fruits and grains or something like that. And then they're doing beef now. So I think they said they needed $1 million or $3 million to be able to do weed. Imagine that though. All of a sudden we can find out which ones had the richest phytocannabinoids.
Right.
You know, you could just scan your eighth at the fucking store. Boop, boop, boop. That's trash. That's trash. Oh, that was fucking fire. You know, it's got shelf life on it. I don't care what the test says 6 months ago. It's fucking held it.
Right.
You know?
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very powerful tool.
Yeah.
It's amazing what science can do and to keep us honest. I mean, I think we've all been poisoned for so long and lied to for so long and misused. I think people are just a fucking tax dollar for everything. Go to work. They train our kids from the time they're 15, 16. Oh, you're 15. Now it's time to go to work. Come on. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to teach my daughter this stuff. And it's yeah, go get a job. Use it to get to your next place and do the next thing, and always be building yourself. And she's got this crazy mindset. And it's in a crazy good way, right? It's, she wants to do art therapy. So she's going to be a therapist. And right now she's selling seafood at a restaurant, just taking orders and she's doing great with tips and she's working with people. And she's like, oh, I can make this much money. And I'm like, yeah, but when you're a therapist, you could make unlimited money. Instead of trading your hours for something in a job, you could do something with a passion. And I think she's always going to turn to that because she's seen me doing that stuff and the passion that I carry for, all the plants and the whatever I'm into, right? If it's saltwater fish tanks, it's that. If it's turtles, it's that, whatever. So do you see your daughter kind of in that same light? It's she?
I think I went the other way with her. I saw what her passions were and I told her never do it for a profession.
Really?
I said, oh, you love art? Never do that for a living, honey. I know a couple of artists that are miserable because they feel like prostitutes. They never get to be able to do their own stuff. Art therapy? That sounds like something totally different. That's not commission work. That's not being in an ad agency. That's not a tattoo artist, And so she said she wanted to get into maritime law or something like that so that she could make enough money to do art forever for her passion. So she's got a job that she knows she'll make good money at. It's underneath fluorescent lighting and air conditioning. Pays excellent,
How old is your daughter?
16?
Wow. My daughter's 17.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Good. Very good. They'll have to meet one day.
For sure. They sound like they're good little match already, but my daughter, she's so fucking smart, dude. She's smarter than me.
Good.
not hard. Jake would say that.
My daughter's brilliant. She finished like I think like highest in her school. She got like nominated to go represent her school and shit like that. But yeah, it was cool.
Wow,
it was cool.
Where do you see yourself going in the future?
Probably retired again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit's awesome. Like after I retired at a young age and I saw all my friends and shit working, I was like, yo, time is worth way more than money. Oh my God, it's worth way more than money. Like,
when are you going to retire? What's the plan? How are you going to get there?
I'm looking at probably another like 7 years maybe. And that'll be enough to put in enough perennial agriculture and diversify outside of cannabis to be able to do well. I've got a solid plan. So,
well, with the knowledge you have, it should be pretty interesting to see how it rolls out for sure.
Oh yeah, man, it's a blast, man.
So you're gonna live sustainably. That's the goal.
Hell no.
No.
Hell no.
What's the goal?
Live comfortably and make the land have an output way more than if it was left unmanaged. Like more than like sustainable, more than regenerative. I desire to have it overflowing abundance to the point where it's almost not valuable. You know what I mean? Like where it's like, oh shit, what am I gonna do with all that? You know, that's where I'm at.
Ferment it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like
make plant food.
Yo, I talked to the EPA about that shit.
What'd they say?
They were like, well, what kind of stuff are you fermenting? I was like, blah, 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 blah. And they were like, well, what kind of scale are you talking about? I was like, just a couple of 55-gallon drums, max, you know? And they were like, oh, that's nothing. I was like, oh, really? Cool. Yeah. And they were like, but if you're like doing giant ditches of it, like this one, like vintner that, you know, is fermenting all of their grape must, you know, you're gonna have to like worry about runoff to the streams and all that stuff. So it's like any farm, almost at any scale, can do this ferments without any environmental impact. Yep. You know what I mean?
The only thing I've seen so far is selling like IPMs. Like if it says pesticide, if it's used as a pesticide, you have to get special licensing for that. But ferments and selling fermentations, there hasn't been any restrictions on it.
Well, it depends on how you label it. Right.
Oh, like, absolutely.
Is it a plant tonic or is it a fertilizer?
Well, that's what we're getting. We're buying plant tonics now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so instead of plant pesticides. It's funny how it changes, but hey, if it's from a plant going on a plant, I think you can argue the pesticide side of it.
Yeah, I've really I've got my ass kicked by pests, obviously, for growing for so long.
All growers do.
And there's only a few that are just absolutely ruthless. Like, God bless the root aphid. Thanks for making that one. Appreciate that, God.
Why?
I don't know. I haven't figured it out. Apparently, I'm not supposed to fucking know.
What the fuck do they do?
Apparently, they cull the weak from the herd.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, like any grower not worth his weight in salt gives up after he gets them. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Oh my God, we've had root aphids, russets.
Fucking russets, thrips,
hemp, the hemp.
White flies, fucking everything, man. Over the years, man, working at that greenhouse, like I thought I saw a bunch of shit. No.
Weed is like a magnet for bugs.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Everything loves it.
Yeah.
The alpha plant, right? The most important one. I always see that like the plants I care about always struggle the most. Like, why you gotta be on my? Why you gotta be coming at my broccolis, man? You know, like these beautiful butterflies. They land on our cabbage, and next thing you know, there's fucking holes and everything. Like a day later, it's like why? Why does the cool, pretty shit have to be such a pain in my ass?
Yeah. There's a balance to everything, and having balanced soil means you're not going to have a lot of those problems. And it's a real challenge to get your soil balanced again, because we cut off nutrient cycling hundreds of years ago. You know, we used to have the ocean be able to be accessible inlands because of, you know, salmon spawning and things like that. They would bring back the nutrients from the oceans, and now we don't have that. And we also used to have very dense mycorrhizal forests all over the United States. And now we have European night crawlers and red wigglers. And those weren't here before, you know? Like, they didn't have worms here, apparently. Thought that was neat.
What do they have?
Fungus.
That's it.
That's the decomposer you need.
Well, I don't understand
beetles
that.
and ants and termites, but it was mostly fungus. Like, there was
where the fuck does the worm
fungal
come from?
duff. It came over in, do you know the word shit is an acronym? Whenever they used to ship over manure for initial like plant, like colonies, they would have to label it SHIT, ship high in transit. Because if they put it underneath in the belly of the ship, it would get a bunch of methane and the ships would blow up. So they brought over shit in boxes.
Yo, we're in the ship. We're in the ship. I can't talk today. We're in the shipping business.
Yeah. It's a valuable commodity.
Holy cow. I mean, there's a lot of shit sellers.
Yeah. I mean, even in this K&F stuff, you know,
So
like
much.
biodynamics, they love manure, all of them. I mean, like, yeah.
It's Korean natural farm. It doesn't use any manures.
Nah.
No.
No.
Biodynamics, they use all flowers. They use compost. They use manure stuffed in horns. Mm-hmm. So they do use it there.
Yeah. But like, I did a lot of agriculture with the rednecks out there in Missouri. And
Tell me about redneck Missouri farming real quick.
yo, that was wild. That was wild.
I can't wait to hear that.
Like I learned the practice of good, better, best. There is no wrong. Wrong
So
is
you told me this,
starvation.
yeah.
You know, and you can get a garden. You can get a good garden, or you can have the best garden. You know, and all of them just had different ways. But one of the things was you always plant 3 times more than what you need. You need one for you, one for the birds, one for the bugs. You know, the other one was. That's whenever I really like took in the that unconventional farmer style of Jadam. Like I learned that this the one grandfather of this big family, he always had the best garden. It was then this river bottom, and all of his family members said it's because he had the river bottom garden. It was all the overflow and the silt from the river. But there were 2 other uncles that had river bottom gardens too. So it wasn't just the soil. What he did was every spring come up, he had 2 55-gallon drums, and every spring he'd come up and pull all the weeds and put them in the drums and just get river water and fill it up and just let them rot. And that's what he used as fertilizer all year long, was just all of the first spring weeds, the most vigorous things that came up, had the most chi, whatever you want to call it, you know. He was out there gathering it and just used it. And then, like, after I learned about the Jadam, like that shit stinks. Oh, it's so bad. So bad. It, like
So
it
bad.
soaks into your skin. It makes you like Swamp Thing. It's horrible. I love it.
Really bad.
I love it. It's the greatest fertilizer ever. Like a big old barrel full of nothing, and you kick it over and you're done. Like that's great.
For a month.
Yeah. But after I learned about like making lactobacillus, I learned that that's like things don't have to stink. And it's only like a couple of dollars worth of sugar and milk, and things don't have to smell anymore.
So
And I
you
was
use
like, all
sugar
right.
in your lacto?
Brown sugar. Like
Okay.
I'll like
to
stabilize
store
it.
Yeah, to stabilize it.
Yeah, I'll make the serum with it. Like I used to make it fresh, more or less, but I don't anymore, man.
I like to store it too.
Yeah, just make the serum, just make a shitload of it and use it for a year, and then anything extra, I'll just pour it out in the spring all over the fields.
Yep. So a lot of people, lactobacillus is labs, and how you create that is you do a rice wash with water, rainwater, or something that's really not
non-chlorinated.
Yeah, no RO. You don't need that kind of level, and you shake it, and you get all that milky colored
The starch water.
Yeah, and you dump that into another jar, and you let that sit for about 4 or 5 days.
Yep.
Maybe 7, depending on temperature.
Yeah.
And that gathers.
Yep, and it'll stratify into different layers, and you want that middle layer. Like there'll be kind of a scummy layer on the top and kind of a powdery layer on the bottom, and you want that middle layer. So you can either siphon it out or, you know, pour it off gently or whatever. Just get the middle. That's the good stuff, and it's the most of it anyway. And then you put that. I think it's like 10 parts that to 1 part, or no, 1 part that, 1 part homemade rennet to 10 parts milk, and then you can let it do its thing, and then it ferments the milk, gets a primitive farmer's cheese.
Yeah, it's like a separation of the whey, then the lacto.
Yeah, the curds in the whey.
Yeah.
And you want the whey.
Right.
So you strain out the curds, and then after we have the whey, that's pretty much lactobacillus bacteria, because nothing else can survive on the milk sugar.
And what does lacto do for soil and cannabis? And
Basically, it eats everything. It's like one of the building blocks of soil. So if there's any like undigested anything there, it will eat it, consume it, and make it available for your plants. In the world of Jadam, it definitely cuts out stink. It helps like get rid of, if you're like fermenting some fish to make a fish hydrolysate or something like that, then yeah, you want to add just a little bit of
it doesn't
lacto.
take it away. It just like it soothes it.
Yeah, it soothes it, tones it back a little bit to where you're not going to want to barf in your mouth.
Yeah. Some of the stuff is pretty bad. We should do a whole show just smelling Korean natural farming stuff.
Yo, most of it smells great.
Some of it does.
Like some of it's great, but some of it I really don't want to put my fingers in it, but I do. I love it. I love it. Dude, I'm taking Chris Trump's class, 5-day intensive up there in Cape Cod this October. I'm pretty excited.
Chris Trump is the man.
I'll be certified to do KNF.
When is that?
October 2nd.
Shout out to Chris Trump. Hopefully someday we get him on the show because he's definitely one of the inspirations from the Korean natural farming side for myself, going out collecting IMOs and that kind of stuff. When I'm learning something, I like to tap in with one person.
Yeah.
And just kind of follow their practices so I can understand it. And then I'll grab little bits from everybody else. And he was the one that really kind of like put it all out there.
He was the OG in the game.
He really is.
In the English-speaking world, so to speak. He brought it to industrial ag, which is more than anyone else could have done at the time. Right. So there wasn't anybody else doing KNF on industrial ag scale. So
5 days. They're going to let you go away from your plants for 5 days?
I've not exactly figured that out yet. So I've got 2 friends who I'm like really hoping have a very open schedule and an open mind. And yeah, I'm looking at you wherever you're at. If you're watching, hopefully you'll be able to help me out. You know who you are. I love you. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Chris Trump power.
Yeah. Shout out Chris Trump. Thank you.
We could probably sit here for fucking like 5 hours and just go back and forth about all the different stuff that we love doing. And I think you and I connect on a lot of different ways and agree on a lot of different things. And I'm going to say it one more time because the universe always puts the people in front of you that you need in your life when you need them, if you pay attention.
Yeah.
You might not understand why somebody's standing in front of you at the moment. It might feel like they're pissing you off, or they might be like showing you extreme amount of love and it doesn't feel right. But to keep that open mind and to be conscious and to stay aware of your blessings and make sure that don't take people for granted.
That's the ticket. The ticket.
What were you saying earlier? Do more for mankind. What was it?
You got to be of service.
Of service.
You got to be of service to your fellow man. Like that's the only way your community gets better. It's the only reason that your kids have a better place to be than you did. Like I don't want my kid to grow up like I did.
No.
So hell, let's make a fucking difference. Like we got strength. Like I'm a hurricane of a human being. I can affect change. I know that I can. I've seen it happen. So teamwork makes the dream work. Let's make it happen. We are the change.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Can we get some seeds from the Wicked Sour team to give away to the people listening to the show, maybe?
Yes, I would love that. I brought some.
Oh, look at you. You got a box of I didn't even know.
Yo, you got to come correct, right? You got to come correct. Oh, I even brought some more joints. Pimp.
What do we got?
I got a bunch of... Ooh, I didn't know that was there. That's even cooler. All right, I got a bunch of Grape Dosey Jersey Juice Femmes. And these ones are for you.
Wow. I was going to say...
Those are Jersey Juice S1s and some Northern Lights 5 cross 2 Sour Skittles.
Oh, fuck.
So, yeah, I got a bunch
pop
of...
these tomorrow at my rec facility.
Awesome.
Tomorrow morning. These are going to my rec facility. We just...
check out Wicked's page. You can see some of the stuff that someone Fino hunted of them. They're very uniform. Very uniform.
Tangy.
Yeah.
Wow. Purple Punch Ghost Tangy Jersey Juice.
Yeah.
What's the flower time like on that?
Super fast.
Targeted hash lines.
Yeah.
I like that.
Oh, man. Like, the Grape Dosey.
Here at Tough Talk.
Huh?
We're supporters of that here at Tough Talk.
Yeah, we like hash here, big time. What does this one say? Targeted hash lines. Wow.
Yeah, that's the Grape Dosey Jersey Juice. And then you had the Jersey Juice S1s.
one of these packs might not make it to the giveaway, but
That's fine. I'll make sure another one gets in there somehow, some way.
I love popping seeds. There's so much fun that you can have, and
Yeah. So Jersey juice, depending on how it's grown, like if there's any kind of like root restriction or if there's like a decreasing light cycle or anything like that to its advantage, it can finish super fast.
oh shit.
So like for hash, you're talking 42 days or earlier,
Wow.
you know? So like a buddy of mine was growing some of the S1s and he said there was one that was done at like 37, you know? And like I've grown some seeds from Bodhi. Like I grew some Sunshine Daydream.
I'm running that right now.
How many?
I think we hunted 6, and the one that we kept has like a buds that are like this tall. I'm
Yeah.
not even joking. It just stacks. So Sunshine Daydream crossed with something else. I'll send you the picture tomorrow.
Okay. All
It's
right.
crossed with something else.
Cool.
Bodhi's cool. I got a bunch of Bodhi stock kicking around.
Yeah, that was one of the first breeders I chose to support with my money was Bodhi because I saw what he was doing in the community, and shout out Bodhi. I saw what he was doing in the
We
community.
need a new bell.
And he wore it out. I love it. That's celebration right there. I saw that he was giving in a lot of his work, and he kept breeding. Like he wasn't slowing down, wasn't repeating the same things. Like he was advancing things and recreating a lot of old work. And so I picked up the Sunshine Daydream and Pink Lotus and Blockhead Cross 88G13 hash plant, and I grew the Pink Lotus and the Sunshine Daydream first. And that was interesting because I found a 36-day pheno that would throw nuts on 6 nodes down, like full nuts all the way down. If you pruned it up and shaved its legs up to 6 nodes, there was no more hermaphrodite in the top of the plant.
Wow.
And it grew like dense, medium-sized nugs, super like heavy stones on the scale. And they were like smoking grenades. Like you smoked it and it was like it just exploded in your lungs. It was but it was super stony and it was like lightning fast. And I kept trying to rerun it because I was like, yo, there's no way this thing's this fast, you know? But it was just too much problems because of the hermaphrodites under the low light or whatever it was. And I couldn't smoke it and enjoy it. So I got rid of it.
Yeah.
And, but the other one that I kept out of the line was something that was done in about 8.5, 9 weeks. And it was like this earthy, incensey, like spears. And I ran that for many cycles. And then I read about UV. And I was running air-cooled 600 HPSs at the time. And I went out and I bought a bunch of reptile lights, like the 23 watt 10 UVB reptile lights, the ones that'll burn the eyes off the geckos. And I was like, hell yeah, this will fucking work. And I added them, and the terp profile changed completely. It turned into movie theater butter popcorn and incense. And I was blown away. And I reran it the same thing. And then I changed my lights out to like metal halide HPS, and I took out the glass and the air-cooled hoods so they could be bare bulb, so they get the UV from the metal halides. And if it was underneath the HPS, it didn't have the butter. If it was underneath the UV from, you know, the reptile bulbs or the metal halide, I get the butter popcorn smell. And then I was like, yo, UV's the ticket. Like, I don't give a fuck what anybody tells me, UV's the ticket. Like, sun-grown is the best, but if I'm indoor, I gotta have UV. So I love ceramic metal halide bulbs for my own personal grow because it just makes the best flavor, the best high.
We've been using the CMH 1000s, the double enders.
The three bulb or the 3 little peanuts in it or whatever.
I'm not in love. It does throw better resin, but we don't get the bulk from it.
No, I lost yield whenever I switched over my flower
Yeah, it's
room.
tough to swallow that pill, boy. Yeah.
That's why I said my personal grow.
Yeah. I'm really in love with the LEDs.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed with LEDs. We're getting great yields off them for way less power consumption. Most of the time we're seeing a water reduction. Like, they're not running the rooms, or like we run them hot a little bit, but not forever.
I'm not like entirely thrilled with LEDs just because of how old our clone collection is, and they're not acclimated to produce under LEDs. Like I've got
it's going to be totally different.
I've got stuff that will throw like softballs underneath HPS, and then you put it under LEDs and it makes like medium-sized cookie hybrid buds. I mean, they're dense as fucking pretty, but they're nowhere near what it should be.
Yeah.
You know, and it's because they were selected underneath that spectrum.
Right. We were talking about this.
You know, so it's like in my garden, I sacrifice a lot of efficiency just to have flavors or old school effects or whatever, you know. It's like a lot of the stuff in our collection, like we're talking about like Dosey and stuff like that. I'm getting that one shortly, but I've got Face Off, you know.
Face Off OG.
And I love Face Off.
Me too.
It's super dank, yields like a motherfucker, you know. It's a bad bitch. And I see why they used the Face Off in the cross to make the Dosey. Like it adds what that cookie needed. You know what I mean? It gives the structure and the vigor and all that stuff. So we've got a lot of incredible breeding tools, you know, except staying relevant in a market that doesn't give a shit about old school.
Right.
So it's like I have to keep all these old ones alive to make sure that we can advance in pedigrees, but at the same time I have to hunt new stuff to stay relevant and keep breeding new and keep hunting new while the collection expands. It's ridiculous. So I've got my feelers out right now to 2 people right now for tissue culture. Like they're actually taking classes. And if anyone wants to level me up and say, I have a TC lab, I'm willing to work with you, whatever, let's open negotiations and have some contract paperwork, because I don't need any more of these fucking like backdoor deals. Like there's some shady motherfuckers out there, and if I'm gonna make sure that my collection goes out somewhere, there's some legal liabilities.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Like I've spent my whole fucking life doing this, and I'm not just gonna give it to someone that's gonna sell their company 2 months later and have all my IP.
Yeah, they're smart.
You know? So I'm either gonna fund the lab myself or I'm gonna find a reliable partner.
Yeah, you should definitely always keep as much in-house as possible. That way you can 100% trust it. But there is a ton of money that goes into that shit. I've looked into the cryo freezers, and it's not about the cuts that it takes so much time. It's about storing them.
Yeah.
So I've looked into that too, and it's definitely a challenge.
Yo, honestly, like I'm way more of a fan of employing people than I am lab techs.
Yeah.
Right? Like I believe science gets in the way in a lot of aspects. Like we can use it, yes, but it tries to insert itself between us and the plant in so many ways, and like the TC is one of them. Like it's way cheaper to propagate a plant through traditional methods than TC.
Right.
Like you're talking 50 cents compared to $50, you know, or $5 to 500, you know. Even like the regeneration, like meristem tissue culture, all that shit, it's a fucking scam. It's a fucking scam. Like, yo, man, put a plant in healthy soil outside. Don't pay $6,000.
Yeah, you got to
see what happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Put that motherfucker under the sun where it should be, and then poof, it's healthy.
Literally every year, I take my mom's and I put them outside, and then we get cuts off.
That's why you got healthy plants.
Yeah.
You know?
I stopped doing that one year, and I lost strains because
it's hard to keep a plant in an indoor environment. It's not natural.
It's not
you
natural.
know? So, and being here in Maine, we're blessed in the medical system that we can just, you know, open our door and say, I'm going to put my medical garden outside for a month and a half. Check.
Yep.
You know? And then we check, do the paperwork. You say it's going back in the fucking building. Check. Done. Now I don't have to fucking worry about any fucking handcuffs, you know? I'm good.
Being safe and having the freedom that Maine brings is very beautiful. And I think that's why so many people have come here to take advantage, not take advantage, but be part of that freedom. I mean, there's people definitely taking advantage.
I'm here first and foremost so that I'm not a criminal. Like I can be proud of what I do. Like I'm decent at what I do, and I'd like to be able to tell my daughter that, you know, I do something that's good. And I'm not poisoning people. I'm uplifting people. I'm part of a community that I can be proud of. You know, I'm no longer in the shadows.
Right.
I shouldn't be in the shadows. You know? So I joined the system. I got my ID. I use my real name. You know, hey, I'm Forrest. Nice to meet you guys. You know, this is who I am. I pay my taxes. So what? You know?
Congratulations.
Yeah. It's weird.
It is weird.
It's fucking weird, man. But I'm grateful.
You got fucked on my taxes this year. We lost money, but I still got to pay in because we're a cannabis company. And we can't write off like, you know, standard shit that regular cannabis companies can write off. So
yeah,
downsizing and paying attention and learning.
I was gonna say we might have to see if we can just innovate a little structuring to maybe diversify your business and utilize other services that are outside of that same structure. You know what I mean? Like everything you can do that is not you. You know what I mean? Anything that directly does not touch the plant. Like there's a guy that takes out the trash. You know? Sell that shit to yourself.
Oh, I do.
There you go. Thank you, God. All right, there you go.
No, we have a very we had a big team, and we had a lot of poison on that team. We had we let go and lost
growing
good people.
pains.
Yeah, and we really were setting ourselves up in a place to be much bigger than we were. Yeah. And we were training people for the next level, like to get the third, the fourth, the fifth stores. And you have to start those people right away because you can't just throw them right at it. And
no, it takes time for people to understand what they're doing.
Yeah, and we got in this position where the market changed, and our business changed, and our mindsets changed, and we had to go in reverse almost. We had to let go. We had to put away. We had to downsize. Whatever the word you want to say is.
Had to lean in.
Yeah, and and then it was a blessing because now we're more tuned with our company. We're more aware with it. We're not getting essentially bullshitted by people on how hard the things are to do. We started this trying to help people, and really we needed to figure it out ourselves. And now that we figured it out ourselves, we're moving forward in a way that we can help lead these people. So sometimes going backwards is great. It's a blessing in disguise. And I think that we've both in our uncannabis lives have seen that sometimes that tragedy and going backwards can change and be part of the prosper in the future. So
I don't believe in problems anymore.
Me neither.
Like there's only challenges that we choose to accept or go around. You know what I mean? Like we can either walk into it or away from it, but there's never a problem anymore.
Right.
It's beautiful. Everything as it should be. It's great. So easy now. So easy. So easy.
Oh man, I could sit here and chat with you for hours. I think this is a great place to just to say thank you for coming into the show. And I think that we'll probably have you back on again in the future. Just
love that.
I think there's so much that we can get into, the nutrients, the way you grow, there's a lot of information out there, and the show is really just to help open the door for people like yourself that are way up in northern Maine that I have known to trust and rely on and respect. And I think just to say, hey, this is Forrest. Welcome, Forrest. And guys, check him out. He's Hash Farm on Instagram. He's part of Wicked Sour on Instagram. We'll get some links in the description below so that you guys can check him out, hit him up, pick his brain.
I love my life.
A little bit.
I love talking to new people. Yeah, help me learn, guys. I'm always interested in learning new perspectives, new ideas. So the only way that I get to do that is see other people's perspectives. So I welcome you into my world.
Seed giveaway.
Definitely. Yo, this stuff is super fire. The Grape Dosey Jersey juice, it's got like fat disco ball heads. Disco ball heads from the Grape Dosey side. And that one's also really fast too. That's like 7-8 weeks.
Wow.
And
I'm literally going to take these and I'm going to pop them tomorrow morning. I might even put them in fucking water while you're here. I'm like, I'm old school, dude. I take them, I put them in paper towels, wet paper towels.
Yeah.
And I put them in a fucking Ziploc. And then on the first 24 hours I look. And then I'm like, all right, it's been 36. And as soon as I see, as soon as I see that seed crack, I try to get it in the fucking soil.
Yo, that's good. That's good. That's your intention behind that. And I've direct sown, I do paper towels, I do it all. And honestly, it's your intention behind it. So if you know that this is the best because you're doing it this way, then it's going to be the best.
I love it.
You know what I mean? Like I've fucked up with paper towels and I've fucked up with direct sow because I was careless, because I didn't have the intention behind it, because I wasn't watching it, because I was doing something else, because it wasn't as important. Whatever it wasn't the best. So, and then I've done it really well, 100% germination either way, And whoever makes the seeds counts too, Like, yeah.
True intentions. I think we've said it a bunch of times on this show, but living a life with true intentions, not based around your fears or your ego, is the most celebrating emotion that I've ever had in my entire life. And to let
gives
go
my
of
life
that
depth. Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people, 99% of people, 95% of people won't understand that comment. Because when we don't live our lives in fear our ego doesn't control us.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, shout out to my mentor, my brother, my friend Dennis over at the Nature Summit.
Shout out Dennis.
Yeah. This guy has literally fucking changed how I breathe the air and drink the water. And
Yo, he's a powerful human being, man.
Yeah.
I met Dennis like a couple months ago or whatever, and I was like,
we met him at the same time.
Yeah, at the same time. I was like, this dude's got some energy, man.
That's
Holy
funny
shit.
that you came back for the conference, and I was
Yeah.
there. Fucking so
Yeah,
funny, dude.
yeah. God is good, man. Puts people in our lives.
It sure
So,
does. So, thank you for coming on, brother.
It's been a pleasure.
Dude, appreciate the people in your life. I like to end every show and thank Jake. He's definitely
Thanks, Jake.
the fucking man behind the curtain, and he's the guy that sits and edits these things for 40 hours. And
Making that magic happen.
dude, love you, brother. Love you, brother.
Love you both, guys. Thank you
you
so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in for this show, and check out Wicked Sour. Check out fucking
Wicked
Forrest.
Sour, Hash Farm, Maine. What's up, y'all? I love my life.